Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. CV Harris here. So today, on another Saturday SITREP, we're going to talk about the recent shooting that took place at the Fort Lauderdale Airport and just some ideas to maybe get your mind thinking on ways you can stay safe, ways you can protect your family as well as yourself if you're ever put in that type of situation. Really, what it comes down to is this, situational awareness. Most people have a hard time maintaining that awareness. You're doing stuff, especially if you're traveling, there's a lot going on. You may be on a layover or something like that, and you're tired, okay, you just want to get about your business. It can be tough. It can be tough to stay aware of your surroundings. You really have to try, okay? It is impossible for a person to maintain a high level of situational awareness 24/7. Obviously, you have to sleep sometime, but even when you're awake, it's impossible to do it all the time. The best you can hope for is when you're in those situations where there's more likelihood of an incident of some sort, that you'll be aware and have a high situational awareness during those times. So when are those times going to be? Well, in an airport, it's going to be probably where the crowds are. Okay, so baggage claim, okay, departure, the security checkpoint, even the ticketing area where you're getting your ticket, whether it's even just at a kiosk or something like that. Anywhere where there's a large crowd is going to be a more likely target. What can you do? What can you do if you're sitting at the airport, let's say baggage claim, and somebody starts shooting? Okay, for one, I'd say remain calm, but it's going to be hard to do that, okay? It's hard to not look around and see what in the world's going on. You need to act, though. You need to try to do something to break yourself free and act. And one of the things that really helps, I think, is talking, okay? So explaining what's going on to yourself, and maybe that will do something and get you to kind of snap out of it a little bit so that you can react, okay? We're in a world today where people will pull out their phone instead of protecting themselves, instead of running for cover. I think that's absolutely insane, but that's what happens. They would rather record it and they feel safe behind that screen for some reason when they should be doing something. They should be seeking shelter or something like that. If you look at some of my past videos where I talk about self-defense and things, I talk about 4 Ds, okay? The 4 Ds of defense, which are deterrence, then you have delay and detect, which kind of go hand in hand, and then finally you have a decisive action. So how do these apply in this situation? Well, the deterrence, that's kind of tough because, yes, airports do have armed security, okay? Usually at the security checkpoint. That's why most shootings aren't going to happen inside the security checkpoint, because you've got through the x-ray, you've gone through the scanners, and all that sort of thing, so it's not likely going to happen there. There was a time when you have your baggage claim ticket and people checked that. You would get your bags and somebody was checking that. It wasn't armed security, but somebody was making sure that you had your bag and not somebody else's bag. That's really gone away. There's really not a lot in the way of security in the baggage claim area at all. You might have a security officer or a police officer walking through that area every once in a while, but really they rely on cameras, and cameras do absolutely nothing for you at all. After the fact, if they want to prosecute someone, but that doesn't protect you. So the deterrence part of things is really null and void when it comes to that. So how do you make yourself the deterrence? I think having that awareness, making sure that people know that you're aware, you're looking at people, you're not looking at the ground, you're not looking at your phone, you're actually up and about and you're looking at things. People can see that you're aware. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to prevent this from happening, but hopefully if someone was going to come and rob you or something like that while you were in that area, you would see them and be aware, and they're going to want to go to a different target. So while in this situation it might not be the best, really it's tough. It's hard to come up with some sort of deterrence in this type of situation. That brings us to the next D, which is delay, and detect goes along with it, okay? Because you could delay somebody forever, for hours and hours. If you don't detect something happening during that time, it doesn't really matter. So you have to detect it as well. Again, that goes along with being situationally aware, detecting things, seeing the threat. And delay could be standoff, okay? Getting things between you and whoever it is, the attacker, whether it's a baggage claim carousel, whether it's just baggage, whether it's other people. I know that you don't want to necessarily throw other people under the bus, but at the same time, especially if you have your family, you need to be that delay possibly. You need to be between your family and that attacking person so that you are delaying them enough to hopefully protect your family. If that's what it comes down to, you do what you have to do to protect your own. Finally, decisive action. Decisive action could mean that you're going to flee. You've decided that you have a chance to get out of the area and you're going to leave. Or it could be, we have no other chance other than we need to stop the threat. We need to take him down with whatever means we have. There's not a lot. I get it. There's not a lot in that area. If you can't be armed inside the airport, what are you going to do? That's a tough thing. You have to improvise. You have to come up with something. And the one thing I want you to remember most of all is you need to fight for your life because absolutely your life depends on it. You need to give it everything you've got. There is no such thing as fighting fair when it comes to this. If it's a life or death situation, you do what you have to do to survive. Next up, we're going to talk about someone who used their firearm for self-defense. This is the self-defense files. So this takes place in Wilmington, North Carolina. And what we had a woman. Her name was Kay Dickinson. She was coming home late. It was almost 11 o'clock at night. She's trying to get into her apartment. She sees a guy with a trash bag, and she kind of, I guess, it caught her attention anyway. But he suddenly attacks her, forces her into her apartment. He ties her up with a belt and demands money. Okay, he's wondering where the money is. He wants money from her, and takes her into the bedroom where he has her tied up. I don't know what his plans were, but thankfully she was able to work her hands free. She was able to retrieve a firearm, and she fired one shot. He ran off. However, he collapsed before he was able to leave the scene. His name was Willie Franklin Stith III. He did have a rap sheet for burglary, and he had done time for that as well. What would have happened to this woman if she had not defended herself? He was escalating. He was getting more and more angry because she wasn't producing the money. She didn't have money to give him, and he was starting to get upset. How could it have ended? It could have ended in a number of bad ways for sure. As it is, she defended herself. Hopefully she won't be prosecuted. It's looking like so far they haven't pressed charges, so hopefully they won't raise any stink whatsoever over this because she absolutely did the right thing protecting herself. All right, so next up on What's New, we're going to take a look at a new product, this one from Smith & Wesson. Okay, so you guys have probably seen this already. This is the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, okay, so the new version of the M&P. I don't have a lot of experience with the M&P, but I have shot it. I have held it on occasion. Very nice handgun, really. I like the ergonomics of it as far as the changeable back straps. They kind of got a palm swell to them. I really like that a lot. I wasn't super fond of the trigger. It was okay, but it wasn't the greatest. But the M&P 2.0 is actually, that's one of the things that they upgraded. They've added a few things. They've added some cocking serrations at the front end of the slide. They've also made the trigger lighter as well as more crisp. And I don't know too much about the reset, but apparently the reset was it was kind of vague. It was hard to tell when the trigger reset, and they've made sure that they've handled that it is an audible and you can feel when that trigger resets. So that's definitely a big improvement. It has a 4 1/4 inch barrel, and it's available in black as well as flat dark earth. Comes with 2 magazines. It's a 17+1 9mm, and it runs $599. That's the MSRP. My bet is you'll be able to find it. As long as you do some research, you can probably find it for a bit less than that. So I'm excited. I actually want to get my hands on one of these and check it out because I'm kind of I wouldn't say a trigger snob necessarily, but I do like a good trigger on a handgun. So it's nice to see somebody addressing that and saying, hey, let's take a striker-fired semi-automatic handgun and give it a good trigger from the factory. I think that's fantastic. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show today. If you did, it is always appreciated when you like and share the videos. And if you are not a subscriber and you want to see more videos like this, find that subscribe button down below, give it a big old click, and then come back next Saturday for another Saturday Sit Rep. And don't forget, every Thursday morning we have the Gear Freak, where we do gear reviews, guns, knives, gear, gun accessories, that kind of thing. So be sure to check that out. Remember, your mind, that's your most important weapon, and it's important to be armed with information. Until next time, take care and be safe. Charlie Bravo, out.